The alarm scarcely had begun screeching before Gabe swung his feet out of bed. Not much of a bed, really, just an air mattress in a mostly empty studio apartment. But it was enough. At 53, Gabe had learned to value the simple things. He shuffled to the kitchenette and started the coffee maker, its gurgling and hissing a reassuring morning soundtrack. While the coffee brewed, Gabe opened the closet door and pulled the chain on the bare bulb inside. The harsh light shone on a modest row of clothes and on a small collection of orthodox icons sitting neatly on the top shelf. Gabe had converted in his 40s, finding refuge in the ancient rituals and the physically tangible reminders of faith. He selected an icon of St. Christopher, the patron saint of travelers, and held it gently as he bowed his head in prayer. The fragrance of freshly brewed coffee pulled Gabe from his reverie. He poured a cup and settled at the tiny table by the window. In the early morning gloom, the lights of Decatur twinkled half-heartedly. Gabe's gaze wandered to the battered shoebox on the table, stuffed with mementos from a life of crisscrossing the country. He sifted through the box, ticket stubs, old coins, worn photographs, until he found what he was looking for. A creased and stained map of South Carolina, the edges soft with age. Gabe smoothed it open, his focus centered on the blue ballpoint circle around the intersection of South Main and Liberty and Marion, with the date scrawled beside it. May 27th, 1977. Gabe followed the highways with his finger, the route as familiar as a hymn. It had been a lifetime ago, that long drive from Virginia to Myrtle Beach, but the remembrances still sang clear and bright. With a stab, Gabe recalled that summer when it all changed, when the electric circus had whirled into his life in a neon-glowing blur of pinball and possibility. He drained the last of his coffee and stood, bones cracking in protest. It was time for his morning run, a ceremony as sacred as prayer these days. Gabe laced up his shoes, the map still gripped in his hand. As he moved out into the chill Illinois dawn, his attention wandered back, the years peeling away like ribbons of highway in the rearview mirror. The moon and Mars hung within the early morning sky, pale companions to the bright gleam of Venus on the horizon. Gabe's feet pounded the pavement, following the well-known trail that encircled Lake Decatur. During the cool morning stillness, his breath created small clouds that dispersed in the breeze coming off the water. As he ran, Gabe watched the sparkle of light on the ripples, the reflections broken now and then by the silhouette of a heron or the splash of a fish. There was peace to be found here, within the liminal space between night and day, a peace that alleviated the hurt of memory, if only for a little while. About 2/3 of the way back to his apartment, Gabe reached the park near Scoville Zoo. He paused, leaning against a bench to catch his breath. Almost without thinking, his hand went to the cord at his neck and drew out the small, smooth chip of sea glass that hung there, gently worn by 40 years of worrying between thumb and forefinger, the memory stone, he'd come to call it, half in jest, in the privacy of his own mind, though lately the jesting had begun to seem less like a joke and more like the plain truth of the thing. As his fingers clasped around it, Gabe experienced a familiar jolt, like a current arcing across time. The chill Illinois morning seemed to waver and fade, replaced by the hot, heavy air of a South Carolina summer. Suddenly, impossibly, Gabe could feel 1977 all around him, as real and tangible as the stone in his hand. And as the borders of time fell away, the true story commenced to unfold.